Episode 2, Triggers of a Manic Episode. Hello, this is Sara, aka Scooby Doo, and this would be the second episode of my bipolar 1 mania discussions, which I have a podcast on Spotify called Life on the Other Side of the Looking Glass. I only did one episode on Spotify for the podcast because I don't know how to use technology really well. So I'm sorry if this is not so exciting, this format that I'm doing. I'm still learning technology. Yes, I was the one in that age group who we basically, technology kind of surpassed us, like we were used to the 70s babies, right? The 76ers who, we started having to use computers really in college, but we didn't grow up with that. That was not our, the way we did things. So anyhow, today I'm talking about triggers. And again, this all is based on my personal experience with having had bipolar disorder for the last 22, almost 23 years, having been put into over 10 different hospitals, maybe 9 hospitals in one suicide watch psych ward of the Clayton County Jail. And what else? Having been hospitalized at least 20 times. So with 5 to 7 major episodes. I'm pretty much an expert. And I know you have a lot of these doctors, psychiatrists, who textbook know what happens and can tell you from the outside what goes on. But now you have someone who used to want to be a psychiatrist, actually. But I actually have lived it. I have lived bipolar 1 disorder, tending towards mania, and usually ending in a psychotic break where I totally break from reality and experience some crazy shit that no one really understands what's going on at all. But I do remember what I was thinking and doing at the time. I just had no ability to control or stop what I was thinking or doing. That it's like you're possessed. Anyhow, back to the triggers. So the first, I have a list of triggers that, for me, have caused me to have a manic episode. I said there's 3 really important things that you need to realize when you're about to have an episode. I feel like even if you have just one of these, but it usually goes to 2 or all 3 of what's going to happen with these triggers, it basically guarantees that you're going to be put into a manic episode and have a problem. The first would definitely be stress. So stress, it is very hard on you, especially if you're neurodivergent, you're more sensitive to things mentally or emotionally. So stress is hard. And I will say the way certain things that happened to me, like that I would consider stressful, were childbirth, having a traumatic childbirth where I almost died during the first time I gave birth, or had an emergency C-section because my daughter wasn't progressing down the birth canal. So they had to cut me, which I had no problem with. I was like, I didn't want to get a C-section, but I was like, you know what? I don't want a scar, but I want my baby to be healthy. Cut me now. And they got her out in time, thank God. But yeah, childbirth, any kind of trauma, new job, right? Like when I have a new job, I'd be very excited. I couldn't sleep because I was so excited, right? And then, or losing a job, right? Loss, any kind of loss, losing a job, losing your marriage, right? You get a divorce or going through a divorce, death of loved ones, having that kind of loss and grieving, even fun stuff like exciting things like going to take a trip somewhere really fun, and it's like you get so excited and anxious you can't even calm down, and you have a problem either before you go on the trip or while you were on the trip. Usually for me, it was while I was on the trip. I actually made it on the plane. Like when you have a baby, it's very hard to sleep. So that's the second trigger. I would say not trigger, but I think it's a symptom that when you go through the stressful event, usually you end up not being able to sleep at all or as much. And then eventually you will also stop taking your medication, right? Like sometimes it could be that you feel like, well, I'm better now, so I don't need to take this medicine anymore. I feel fine. Okay, that's what would happen in the beginning when I would have episodes. But then later it would be like, you know what? Let's say everything's okay. I just went through a loss though. I become very stressed. My sleep suffers. I'll start sleeping less and less every night. Like maybe it was 7 or 8, and then it goes to like 5, 4, and so on and so forth. And then my medicine, I would still even be taking my medicine up until the end. It's only at the end, once I had the psychotic break and my mind goes somewhere else and breaks with reality, it's like there is no remembering to take medicine at that point. And yeah, so those 3 things: stress, right? Stress, sleep, and medication. Stress, sleep, medication to me are the triggers. So let me just explain to you what happens. So the trigger, it could be trauma, loss, some kind of stressful event. It could even be a stressful situation. Like when I got a new job when I was teaching, and it was at a middle school. And what happened was they had just implemented this thing called No Child Left Behind as, a law. And not that I ever want to leave a child behind, but it's like, hold on, you're asking us as teachers now somehow to make sure every child is doing well, and that means giving them repeat tests and giving, lessons over and over again. And it was like, not that I wouldn't want that, but the ramifications were very great on how it would affect how I go about teaching. And the reason why I felt like it would affect it a lot is because usually as a teacher, you're dealing with a lot of discipline issues, especially in the beginning. Your first year, very hard. Probably the hardest one if you decide to stick with teaching. But to be able to have all the children on the same page and not have times where they're individually fighting or something's going on and everyone can learn is very difficult. It's really hard if they're all fighting. So that stressful situation of No Child Left Behind made me go into this whole, I have to break every kid down to put them on the same level and teach them all together. So there is no hierarchy amongst them. There is no bullying. And that was just a stressful situation that definitely triggered my mania. So yeah, so basically here's how it goes for me. So there's a trigger: trauma, loss, or stress. I will stop sleeping eventually, or sleep less and less. Eventually stop taking my meds, or it could be that I stop my meds first, right? And the other 2 things happen, right? Usually if I'm stopping my meds, there must be a trigger, like a traumatic, stressful situation going on at the same time. But yeah, so then my mind will change, my behaviors, my thoughts, my actions, and my lifestyle. Then I break with reality. And it's like I'll go into some kind of alternate universe. This is why I call it life behind, or life on the other side of the looking glass, because you really do feel like you've fallen down the rabbit hole and you are Alice in Wonderland. You're dealing with the Mad Hatter, or you might be acting like the Mad Hatter and the March Hare and the Dormouse. And then you look in the mirror and you see this monster and you're like, who is that? That's the Jabberwocky. And you're like, wait, I'm the Jabberwocky. Oh shit, I'm the Jabberwocky. Anyhow, and so, or you'll think I'm in the Matrix. Go into the movie The Matrix, or Tomb Raider, you're some kind of movie, some kind of crazy story from who knows what. You basically, your whole reality is gone. Then I start to, for me, I feel a connection with God, a really strong connection to God, the universe, or I can see the matrix or the truth about reality, right? What's real and what's not. I will start acting on the thoughts, but at a certain point, I lose control. And then I'll go into this feeling of possession. And it's kind of like you're an observer of what's happening around you, but something is actually using you as a tool to carry out whatever needs to happen, right? Like save the world, right? The world needs to end. Everyone needs to be saved. Some kind of very usually foreboding, a terrible ending, but that is supposed to bring good eventually back. It's like for the greater good, right? Someone has to die. Usually it's me. I know I said before, my mom, I feel like she really ingrained it into me to want to be like Jesus, or that I have to be like Jesus and die for other people's sins, or I don't know. But that, yeah, so that's at least what happens after I'm triggered, like the, and I do have also stages of an episode. Please leave any questions or feedback or comments in my comment section. I look forward to reading that. And I hope you enjoyed and that you will come back again for new content on my life with bipolar 1 disorder. Thank you. Mwah.